Hello again and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. But is it even a Mordian Glory video? For I have with me a special guest, the one, the only Discourse Miniatures!
Hey there. Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm very hyped. I found someone else who's obsessed with Konflikt 47. So
it's like the only two people, at least before this edition, anyway.
yeah, that's true. That's true. So thank you so much. Well, actually, I want to say thank you for reaching out because this is actually your idea, and it's been something that I've been meaning to reach out to you for a while, and then I think you had a moment in one of the videos where you took the piss out of my description of Lady Malaise, and I was like, love it. So and that's where this basically came from, which is fantastic. Hey. It's one of those things where you should probably learn how to say a word before saying it out loud.
It's fun to mispronounce things. I do it all the time. My entire accent is just mispronouncing things.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about Konflikt 47 today. That's it. Yeah. This is a Konflikt hype video, and so we've had a bit of a chat, obviously before the video, because we just want to get to know each other. We've not spoken to each other before and all that kind of good stuff, and we were like, look, we are going to be, I'm salty, you're salty. Like that we're salt tubers, right? We've decided though that we are going to leave the salt at the door, and it's going to be hype course miniatures today, and it's going to be Fandy and Glory as we basically just simp all over Konflikt 47, share our experience, share what we think about this game and all that kind of stuff. And we are going to do our absolute level best. We'll probably fail, but we're going to do our absolute level best to just be talking about this in like super positive ways and all that good stuff.
100%. I've been playing a ton of Konflikt 47. Like the moment it came out, I've just been playing it. I've got a bunch of friends who are like really into Konflikt. We've all been playing bolt action, but none of us want to play bolt action. We all wanted to play Konflikt 47, and we were waiting for the new edition because there was an old edition. But it's whatever, you know, it's into the new one now, and it is much better, and it is so awesome. I've been really digging it.
So how many games do you reckon you've played so far?
Double digits for sure. I think at this stage. Yeah, I've been playing like a lot, dude. I'm in a campaign for Poland. I'm fighting for Poland right now as the Axis. Yeah, against the British and the Soviets. Yes, yeah, reestablishing that line. You know. So yeah, I've been playing like a ton of games, mostly as the Axis. So they were kind of my main army because I originally created them for bolt action, but they were always designed to be like that opening scene from Hellboy. So they're all wearing like gas masks, and they got weird looking faces of monsters. So the moment I found out about Konflikt 47, I was like, okay, right, this works. Yeah, this is like a natural progression. But I also have a US army, mostly because of the starter sets that I keep getting. So like Fireflies and Linebackers is my current American army, as well as like a couple of HMGs and stuff, and some snipers. And then I also have a Japanese force as well, because they just look so interesting. Like the rules for them are so different. Yeah, they're just wild. They're like definitely the most asymmetrical faction in the game, and so that's super appealed to me.
Yeah. I did you kind of find, so you actually played Konflikt, the old edition, kind of.
Yeah.
So you were actually already Konflikt confirmed before the.
Oh, dude, I was Konflikt pilled. Like I was in it. Like I was all for it. Like I've been playing Konflikt. So last year I did a review of it on my Patreon. Quick plug. Yeah. But I built it as like my favorite game.
Go and check it out.
Yeah.
There you go.
I genuinely was like, this is my favorite game. Like this is my favorite war game out of all the war games. You're not meant to have a favorite, but this one's mine. And so like when I heard about the new edition, there were some elements of it that worried me. Whenever I first started hearing about heroes and stuff like that, I was a little bit concerned. But then like when it came out, like they delivered, I think, really well.
I think they really cooked with this, and I think I can't praise Warlord games. If people have started calling me like a Warlord ball washer, and I take it as I wear that badge. I'm like Zukov. I'm just wearing all of these like Warlord phrase badges across my chest. I'm like, 100%.
So many balls.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy Chambers. They'll never be cleaner. But if you actually look at what Warlord Games has done with Konflikt, I didn't realize, but I think they've been working on this version 2 for a lot longer than any of us realize. Because I think it was like 2016 or 2018 when Andy Chambers was like made like head of the of the Konflikt team. And I feel like probably from that moment onwards, there's been, okay, we'll try and get that. You saw like they did like a few articles around it on Warlord community, but they didn't really take off. And I think they've basically for quite a few years been like this, we could do something with this, but it needs a full redo. So this isn't even really, to me, this isn't V2. This is just the first proper launch.
Yeah. So if I could give you a little bit of, I got a little bit of a scoop there on that.
Oh, yeah, scoop.
So whenever it was Warhammer Fest, I think was in Manchester like 2 years ago. I went to that. But during Warhammer Fest, I went up to Warlord Games. I took a train to Warlord Games to visit there. And I did like the tour, and I bumped into some people. I was chatting away with some of them, and I was asking about Konflikt. I was like, what's happening with Konflikt, guys? Because this game rocks. Yeah. And I think it could be way bigger. At the time, it was really super small. It really didn't feel like it was a priority for them. And I was told basically that like, it's coming, like we've got mechs, we're going to have them in hard plastic. We're going to be, but we're waiting for some stuff. And so it turns out, I guess they were waiting for the new edition of Bolt Action before they could then come out with Konflikt 47. But I pushed them at the time. I was like, this could be a really big game. This should be like a center point of Warlord games for sure.
So 2 years ago, they were already into the thinking about it.
They knew what they wanted with it, I think, at that stage. And then it was just a case of getting to there. I think they were always waiting for Bolt Action, for the new edition to come out and kind of, because it changed a lot of the paradigms, right? Like it added in cover saves to the old system. It reduced a lot of the modifiers to hit.
Yeah.
So they needed that kind of like paradigm shift. Because what happened to the previous Konflikt was that it came out and then a new edition of Bolt Action came out. So the original Konflikt was for like Bolt Action First Edition, which, by the way, I kind of preferred some elements of that. Like I'm not like the biggest fan of the templates or anything in the new Bolt Action stuff.
I like it.
So I would like them more.
This collab is over.
Yeah. I would like them more if the template, if you could only injure things that you shoot onto the template, but as the rules is written as it is, you shoot at stuff, you see how many guys get hit by the template, and then the opponent can just remove models from the squad. I'm like, well, what's the point?
You're kind of saying like, if the mortar lands in the middle of the squad, those guys get obliterated.
Those are the dudes who get obliterated.
Yeah, and then like the guys who are on the edge of the explosion are like, oh my god, what happened to Sarge?
Yeah, because it either, so your positioning of the individual models either matters or it doesn't. And if it doesn't matter, I think it's quicker just to use dice to randomly determine how many people get hurt. Because otherwise you're like slowly putting your models out. You see your opponent go to activate their mortar. You're like, hold on 1 second. And you just kind of separate all your guys 1 inch away from one another to minimize the... So yeah, but okay, right. We're already, the salt is okay.
No, that's not salt. We can, that's just an analysis of a particular rules preference.
There we go. It's all preference. But yeah, so I think they were planning it for a really long time. And I was looking forward to it. But to be honest, knowing that, it kind of put me off Konflikt for a while, because I was like, I didn't want to buy anything.
You don't know what you're going to get.
That's actually, there's good stuff about the launch. There are some niggles I have about the launch as well, but we can maybe get into those.
Yeah. Well, so what's your, which faction would you say right now has been your favorite out of the ones you've played against? I find this the most difficult question with Konflikt, because it's only got 5 factions and I love them all.
I would much prefer 5 factions that feel distinctive, unique, and interesting and asymmetrical than like 30 factions that are all just variations on a theme, right? Like I'm a fan of the smaller factions and making them all feel very different. So it's kind of hard right now because it feels like the model line for Konflikt is still kind of limited. Right? Like, especially if you want to buy like what I would call like a more modern miniature, right? There's a lot of miniatures in the library from Warlord Games right now that have been sitting around for a couple of years. Like, I've got a bunch of them. They look good, but they're metal or resin, and they're kind of old and they don't really quite fit. They're kind of, the scale is a little bit off as well compared to the newer stuff. So it kind of feels a bit weird to be picking those up. Whereas like, we've got the new starter sets for like Japan, Commonwealth, Soviets, and we have the starter sets for the Axis and the USA. But the models in those are quite limited. Like with the Axis, I've got so much Style Trooping now, like so many power armored guys. And they're really fun. They are really fun, but they're kind of oppressive a little bit. Like until you you have to get into the conflict headspace.
Yes.
From bolt action, and that took us a little bit of a couple of games to realize, right?
Yeah.
Because we used to play Conflict, and this was how the previous edition was like, we got our bolt action stuff, then we got some little, I got some zombies, and I got like some Naktalpin over here, you know, like a little bit funky.
Looks a bit funky.
Yeah. But now it's like, okay, I got a lot of conflict stuff. Yeah. I got a little bit of bolt action. Here's my little rifleman squad. You know what I mean? And so it's a complete shift over where armor penetration is just so much more valuable now because you have these superhuman creatures like Shrekwolfen that cannot be hurt by Mordian weaponry, by mere bullets, you know? So you need an anti-tank gun to take those things down. And that's really cool, and it makes them feel very impactful. But it is a bit of a head shift, right? It's a bit of a change in perspective.
And I love it. So if I could just, I want to come in on that for a moment, okay?
Yeah.
Because I think it's possibly the best thing about Konflikt 47 is kind of like you on that voyage of discovery again. So when you're like first getting into wargaming. You don't know what the hell's going on. You're like, I'm just gonna try stuff and see what works, and it's great. And that's the most fun thing. And then one of the issues that I think has sort of, and again, this is not really salty. No salt. But one of the issues that I think I personally actually have with Warhammer 40k is because I've been playing it for so long. I for me, it's just another day, another game, another mission. You know, here we go. Got to stand on those circles, get those primary points again. And that's basically it. And then even a little, honestly, even slightly with bolt action, because the armies in bolt action aren't really all that different.
No, they're all a guy with a gun. They're all a guy with a gun with slightly different national characteristics, right?
This T-34 85 is the same as that Cromwell, is the that Panzer IV is the, blah blah blah. Yeah,
especially before the armies of books where it is literally just like medium tank. With just medium anti-tank gun.
Axis medium tank. Allied medium
tank. Well, it's T-34,
So, but what I love about Konflikt is that the lessons that I knew as a 40k player, lessons that I know as a more action player and as like an old world player, that doesn't help me. I need to learn everything again.
It's a new
ecosystem, and the big one is in bolt action. I don't know if you find this, but especially version 3, because assault is a lot less viable in version 3. You really have to set it up until there's like one conscript hiding in a hole and you charge them with like 10 veterans kind of thing. So bolt actions kind of sort of settled into this, army sort of advanced each other, then sort of settle down, whittle each other down a bit, and then maybe you go in for sort of an assault towards the end. And it's a fairly like there's that moment in the middle of the game where we're kind of hunkering down, shooting at each other, which is cool. That's probably how it actually was. Like people were just like running around, charging each other all the time. But then you get to Konflikt 47, you're like, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to shoot you, and the Shrekwolf would just go, fuck off. And they charge
they come at you.
Like, oh my God. So and then like your next game, you're like, well, I'm going to be aggressive this game. And suddenly it starts rewarding you and you're like, oh, I'm not sitting around at all.
I've seen like a squad of bears advance from one table corner to the other table corner, being shot up by an entire army of British like medium machine guns. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you can't stop. They're just coming at you. The panic on my friend's face. I got to watch that game. That was fun.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
And it's an entirely different ecosystem. And this is something that, I mean, I'm not like trying to pitch Konflikt 47 to anybody. I just want to talk about why I think it's really cool.
Buy it.
But what I would say that if you are someone who's playing a lot of Warhammer 40k, like you say, and if you are, you've been playing it a lot, I would kind of suggest Konflikt 47, if only because it does have a lot of that discoverability again. But also, I think the Konflikt 47 does something that Warhammer 40k does not do. I think that it captures a style of wargaming that has been lacking, at least in the kind of Games Workshop ecosystem, because they have gone very like even what you were saying, like get on objective point, like score points, right? It's a very gamey sort of perspective of how you're looking at the table. And obviously it is a game, but it's very abstract. abstracted. Whereas Konflikt, I feel like the strategies do not come out in kind of like what stratagems can I use when? How do I synergize my list necessarily? It's I have these forces, they are on this table. I'm trying to achieve this goal of like destroy the enemy or get to the other side or like seize these positions. The strategy comes out in how I maneuver those models 100%. And how I activate them in what order. And then because it's still using the Rick Priestley core there, there's that little dash of luck that just gets added in to screw everything up for your best like plans, right? Yeah, right. And that's fun, right? Like that's fun. It's a really, really enjoyable experience. And I think that it gets to the heart of what I guess wargaming used to be. Like when I played Konflikt 47, not to get wistful, but it makes me think of like the 2000s. Like that's the era I got into wargaming. And it makes me think of like 4th edition Warhammer 40K, 5th edition Warhammer 40K. My favorite editions, probably because they were the editions I started with, but they were still my favorite edition, nostalgia glasses or not. And it captures that. It captures that vibe in a lot of ways for me.
100%.
It rocks. Yeah.
I actually had the same thought, but then I went through that sort of same process. This is reminding me of how things used to be. And then I actually stopped myself a little bit. And I went, no, because what I think is actually I think it's a step beyond that. I think it's the essence of what used to be, but it's actually remastered with now 30 years of wargaming experience behind it. And I think that's why Konflikt hits so fucking hard and so fucking good, because it's a war game. So it's based in those, like, okay, we're not playing like a tabletop esport or anything like that. Like it's a war game. But we the people that are writing this are people like Andy Chambers, Gav Thorpe, Rick Priestley's involved, Alessio's involved. These are people that have been writing war games for 30 years. And they were pretty good when they wrote things 30 years ago. And they've only got better with 30 years of experience. They've clearly become better at their craft. And then not only that, but there's loads of other people in the K47 team. The big names always draw the highlights. But what I actually got to chat to one of the have I got my book here? I'm actually going to get his name out. I want to make sure I'm getting it right. He's the guy that developed the I think it's the Molot.
Okay.
John, I think it's John Heaney. And then also I want to do a big shout out to Dan Hewitson. Because those two are like, I think they're still very experienced, don't get me wrong. But those two, I would say that, they're not like the granddaddies. I'd say like they're the new generation of like game designers and model designers and everything coming in. And they've just done such an amazing job. And you can see like this game is the essence of the foundation of old school wargaming, but with 30 years of experience behind it. And I think that's so big. And I just want to, one other thing I want to say, you said about like the bears running across, totally unrelated, the bears running across the border, like making someone panic. I've seen that so much in Konflikt because people are like, they're so used to be like, oh, I'll just shoot it and kill it. And it's like, will you though?
Yeah. Well, I'll pin it at least. Oh no.
And what I love is that people, when the first Konflikt 47 battle port started like hitting the internet, the one unit that everyone was losing their minds about was Totenkor. They're so broken. They're so overpowered. And they're not even slightly. I have now played 2 games back-to-back with a Totenkor against my opponent who had the Totenkor. And I've just taken them apart with no problems whatsoever. You just have to learn how to beat them.
You have to use different types of unit. You can't shoot at them with riflemen. Like, what's that going to do? No, 100%. For me, it's Shrekwolf. I think Shrekwolfen are amazing. Like, I think they're so fast. They're just so fast. They're across the table like that. It's like, oh God. Like, and they'll be upon whatever they want to be upon. It's absolutely excellent. And if you get the just a little bit if you get the axes, you can take a Rift Mastery. So if you take that, combine that with the national characteristics rule, which gives them a free Rift Mastery. First turn, slap those together, combine it to make a surging rift.
Put it on the
throw it on your Shrekwolf plus PV. Oh, like the HMGs are suddenly useless. Everything that they would usually use, like autocannons, I think are hitting like are wounding on a 6. Oh, it's a nightmare for them. It's so good.
They're on a 2-up save because they're tough to kill in hard cover.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Everyone.
They're so excellent. Yeah.
I love how everyone. There's so many people on like comment sections and stuff that are like, oh, Tesla seems so rubbish, and I'm like, try a game without it. Honestly, try a game without it. Okay, because I guarantee you, when you like, I'm going to leave my Tesla Sherman at home, you're going to face 3 Shrek Wolfen, 4 Shrek Wolfen, 5 Shrek Wolfen, and you're going to be unable to kill them. And you're going to be like, I really wish I hadn't taken this tool out of my toolbox.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and that combines that feeling that nowadays it's like it's a separate game from Bolt Action. It is Konflikt 47, and you need to bring Rift tech to the table because it does. You get outstripped by it. Now, one thing I would say is that I kind of wish that the basic infantry scope were a little bit cheaper points wise, just because they do feel a bit anemic at the minute. Like, okay, I could bring like maybe a grenade rifle. I may be able to shoot some stuff on like a wound some things on a roll of a 6, but they're pretty. But luckily, I mean, I guess this goes to they've learned lessons from the 2000s.
Yeah,
all the army lists are online, so they can all be updated. They can all be changed, right? And that rocks. Like that is what I've been begging from other companies for a long time now to just do, because it's very obviously a win, right? And so it's really nice to see it get enacted and get actually done by a big company in this space that can demonstrate that it is worthwhile. And they're also like, I mean, they have splat books planned for the future, but they're all like campaign and like narrative game splat books, which is awesome. Cool. That's exactly what I want. The moment I saw Konflikt 47, I was like, okay, what are the campaign rules? I need to know campaign. I need to be able to do a campaign and link some games together.
Fluff. I need right. I want
to I want to build some stuff around this, you know. But just on those Totem Core, by the way, I think they work really well if you stick them in a 6+ DV truck. Just throw them in a cheap little truck and just drive them towards the enemy. Just go that way, and then just forget about them. Just let them go.
You've just got like. It's just like the meat wagon of like 12 Totem Core inside the most rubbish truck you can find. Yeet it forward. And then even if the truck dies, Totem Core don't take pins. So they just stumble out. They'll go down, whatever. They'll go down because you go down when you get blown out the truck.
Yeah.
But if they take any casualties, you just go, I guess a dead or walk again then. And they just get back up again.
Just come back. Yeah.
I like Style Troop. So I really like Style Trooping in a truck because they can get pinned up. And I think rules as written, it's like even if the truck is taking pins, the guys inside still take the pins, even if they're in damage value 7 arm, which is kind of
sure.
I could be wrong. I've only played 4 games. I could be wrong. But this is where the Vor March ability comes in, because then you just go, well, I'll just Vor March out of the truck and lose all of these pins. And it's like, oh my God, like people are like, oh, I don't think I like the Style Troop and Vor March ability. I'm like, bro, put Style Troop in a Hannah mag. And it's just like free get out the Hannah mag and just start.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good, and they don't take any damage at all from taking because you have to roll a 6. What is it? You roll a damage roll against them, and it's on a D6. There's no armor pan, so they're 7+ damage value.
Yeah,
you're not rolling a 7 on a D6. No. So they do not. The vehicle explodes and they just walk out of the wreckage. It's fucking badass.
Cool dude. Guys, don't look at explosions.
Although I will say, the one time I made a full Stelhelm army, I was just like, all right, all Stelhelm.
Okay, I want to hear about this. I'm curious about it. I want to hear about it.
It was working okay. Until my opponent was playing the British and they unleashed dogs upon me, just war dogs. And I thought, so I had never played against war dogs at the time. So I'm advancing into this with like my assault rifle style helm, right? Like just firing away. And then I'm told, oh no, they're DV6. And they're in cover, and I'm like, wait, hold on, they're DV6 for dogs? Like, oh yeah, they're
some pretty tough puppies.
Yeah, you're gonna have to roll a 6 to hurt these things. And then they got into combat in melee, and it's bad times for the Stelhelm whenever the dogs are unleashed.
I'm in power armor. They can't damage me. Yeah, we got was it like pen 2?
Yeah, plus they got +1 pen. So, but there's like 10 of them or whatever against your 3 guys.
And you're not. So I love that. And I just love the thing is, I love the layers. So
that's it.
Every time I think I've got something figured out, I'm like, oh, this is good. And because I've still got that 40k in mind. I still play 40k. And 40k is basically, it's either trash or OP. That's the whole.
That's the dichotomy, right?
Yeah, it's either trash or OP. And I get to Konflikt and I have this mindset of that's trash, that's OP. And then I play the game and I'm like, oh, wait, no, my preconceived notions of this unit are actually totally... The only exception might be Shrek Wolfen, because they are really, really,
they're expensive, though. Like, they're expensive, you know?
And you can absolutely counter them. But one thing that... So you said, like, the basic riflemen need a little something. And this is actually because this is something that I've actually talked about quite a lot on like some live streams and stuff, because there's quite a lot of people that want to get into sort of, there's many ways of getting into K47, but two ways that this is sort of relevant to this conversation right now is people who are like, I already have bot action, I want to come over. And people who are like, but if I buy a bot action starter army, it's like 1,500 points for less than the price of a combat patrol. So I want to get that. And so, and then can I just season it? And I'm like, you absolutely can do that. But you sort of have to go in there eyes wide open, being like, you're probably going to have like 18 order dice to the K47 guys, like 8.
Yeah.
And you're going to think you're king of shit mountain. But you are going to take unbelievable casualties.
Yes.
You can do it, but you have to basically win by attrition.
And a lot of those boxes for bolt action, they're not designed for Konflikt 47. So because I've created a US force that is all Mundian units, all bolt action only. And I don't know if I haven't used it yet, but I mean, you have to bring stuff that can deal with Konflikt units. So there's a lot of heavy machine guns in there to deal with, like, the DV7 stuff, just to get that little potential like +1 to the damage roll, right? As opposed to, like, I wouldn't bring like an MMG. What's the point? Like, I'm gonna bring like a bunch of HMGs. My rifleman squad are just like, they're just bringing rifle grenades, like they're just delivering some rifle grenades into the opponent. That's it. And a ton of bazookas and things like that, right? Like you've got to deal with armor. You have to have an answer for this stuff. So if you come in with like, oh, I've got like 30 guys, they've all got rifles and LMGs, that's fine. Like you might be okay against some stuff, but like you probably whittle down some totem core or whatever, but like you're going to struggle against certain units because autocannons, heavy machine guns, they're all so much more valuable in this, which I really like, because it creates this little space where it feels like sometimes in bolt action, you want to be around like that DV, like 9+ for your tanks. You just want to be up there, and then, or just basic infantry. And then otherwise it's just transports, like 7+ transports. But armored cars and stuff, they can kind of struggle a little. So it's really nice to have a lot more kind of in that DV 7+ area, even for vehicles and things like the Vogelspinne are all running around. And it means also, I love like the look of autocannons. I think autocannons rock. Love them ever since my guards. Whenever in the 2000s, I had a full infantry army,
the old autocannon grenade launcher, Imperial Guard squad.
Exactly.
Never let you down.
I think it's good against everything. So like, and I love that. And I'm so happy that it's actually good in Konflikt 47. If a little bit mandatory, if you're just going for like all Mundian, like for sure.
I mean, it's one of those things where some people will hear it. You have to look at the whole picture. When you're someone who's like listening to what we're saying and looking at battle reports and stuff, you have to see the whole picture, because it's very easy for you to hear, oh, the basic rifle isn't all that useful, and be like, I don't like that. But then you have to look at the fact that in normal bolt action,
reporting for duty, sir,
anti-tank rifles are not great, and heavy machine guns are considered overcosted. And then you come over to Konflikt 47, it's like suddenly anti-tank rifles are really useful. Heavy machine guns are really useful. And light anti-tank guns, basically dismissed in bolt action, are actually incredibly valuable in Konflikt 47. And so what I think, and all of those things are available in bolt action form, bringing them over. And so it's one of those where don't just look at one part of the puzzle, look at the big picture. So, and when also think of it from like a narrative immersion point of view. If the basic Mosin Nagant rifle was still keeping up, it would be like, well, why the hell are we taking these risks? Why have they bothered developing this stuff? What is the point? It's like, no, we're in a new era of warfare. It's kind of like, hey, this cavalry stuff, I'm sure it'll still be okay in World War I. It's like, oh, no, wait, machine guns are a new thing that have been developed. It's all sort of changed. And it's like, there's so many things that you just need to sort of try and see the whole picture is what I'm trying to advise people.
It's a different like ecosystem now. Like it's a completely different vibe. And that's what I mean. Like Konflikt 47 feels like a much more different game compared to the old version of Konflikt, which really was just bolt action with a couple of things bolted on top of it. With the new version, it's very different. Like you say, like anti-tank rifles are amazing, especially for like the Soviets, because they kind of lack a little bit of the anti-tank stuff at range. So having some anti-tank rifles is just so handy for them. Yeah. But it's kind of funny though. I think that the basic rifleman squad I think they get shit on a lot, but they provide a really value. Like they're still handy, right? You still want them to be on positions, and they still have a role in the game. Yeah. But like I said, I think they could just use with a few points reduction. That's it. If you do want to go like all riflemen guys, I think the army that it works best in is Japanese. Because the Japanese, and this is what I mean, Japanese play so differently from every other. I've only played them like a couple of times, but I was like very down on them at first, and then I played a game with them. I was like, oh my god, these guys are amazing. Once you learn how melee on vehicles works, you're like, all over. You're like, okay, I'm gonna put a combat blade in this squad, and this squad, and this squad, and this squad. Right. So basically, because like
katana just like through the top of the Japanese.
The Japanese, they do not have like an equivalent to Shrekwolfen or like the Bears, right? Their equivalent is the humble Japanese soldier. That is their lunatic melee unit, and their entire army is designed around this, and it fucking rocks. So their squads of infantry can give their NCO a samurai blade, right? And this gives that one guy +1 pen on melee attacks. Feels pointless. However, when you melee into vehicles, you're going to add the highest pen weapon plus a D6 roll. So that gets you out of like only being able to glance hits against vehicles into being able to penetrate. You can full damage vehicles with squads of infantry, with Japanese infantry, and it is so glorious. I have charged into mechs, lost like 7 guys. It doesn't matter. I've got my sword, right? And I have disabled mechs before with like ambush charges of Japanese infantry coming out of the. It's so good, and people disrespect. They do not respect the squad at all. They're like, I'm gonna move my mech forward, and the mech will kill people. Like they'll all die, but they will take down and it's so good. It rocks. They're so much fun to play.
I think this is the thing. People are so a lot of people in wargaming right now, and it's no one's fault. It's I'm like this. We're all like this. We've sort of got conditioned to be like, it's trash or OP. It's trash or OP. That's we're so used to that. And actually coming into a game and you look at something, you're like, well, those riflemen are trash. Why would I ever take them? And it's like, well, just dig a little deeper. What does that combat blade do for you? Look at each nation. What are these infantry doing for you? And it's like you say like you really like the humble Japanese infantry squad. I really like the fact that I don't take Japanese infantry squads as veteran. I take them as inexperienced because they're going to die like piss anyway. So I might as well save 6 points a dude and take them in experience. And then what I like to do is then give them all SMGs, because now I can take 12 SMGs in a unit. And it's like, this squad is like 100 points, roughly 100 points. And then they've got like 20 attacks.
Have you faced a Soviet horde yet? Have you faced a Soviet horde?
I tend to bring the hordes.
Yeah. See, I've got a friend. They play Soviets, and in the last game I played against them, they brought all inexperienced soldiers.
Nice.
But they had the heroes of the Soviet Union in the middle of them as this like anchor, right, for the fanatic. So it gives them all. So basically, the Soviet like national characteristic is that they get to designate one squad as the heroes of the Soviet Union, and they have this aura around them of 6 inches that basically means that people can ignore pins when making morale checks. And then the Soviets also have a rule, which is when you succeed on a morale check, you upgrade from like a regular to regular, from regular to veteran, and veteran just get better, like in terms of the morale value. So you're kind of, I've faced like armies, and it's like literally a case of there will be like 25 guys that I'm facing down with my 10 dudes, and I'm like, we cost the same amount of points. Like this is the same, or like 3 style trooping are looking at like 25 guys. Like I don't have the firepower. They can't hurt me, but I kind of can't kill them before the game's over, right? Like I can't actually, and with the way commanders work, you can get away with it.
Yeah, and to be fair, those 10, 12 Soviet conscripts, if they charge into your style trooping and they manage to roll 1-6 followed by a 6, you lose a style trooping.
Oh yeah.
That'll happen. Yeah. And so someone in my chat the other day, and I really need to look into the rules, see if this actually works. They were like, you guys are all doing this wrong. You need to be taking even less experienced Soviet infantry. And I was like how? And he went, so what you do is you make them shirkers. I was like, yeah, but then they're going to run away. And he was like, but no, they're near the heroes of the Soviet Union. So they're fanatics.
That's what I faced.
It's like, wait. So they are shirkers, but they're fanatical shirkers.
That's what I faced. You're looking at 5 points a model. Like you're up against 5 points a model. It's insane.
I love that.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's good. Like I've faced it. It's good. Like it worked, you know, like it was effective. And then you back that up with like the Soviet like ZP technology, which just sound waves that just absolutely destroy everyone they like look at in short range, but like man, when they hit like they're so good.
Daughters of the Motherland are my new favorite unit, and I did not expect that. I didn't expect it. I was like, no, I'm a manly man, the power armor will be my thing. And then these like I was like, oh well, I'll take the quote unquote muscle mummies to the game.
The buff girls,
the buff girls. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna, and like literally, this is on Battle Report. I just completely disrespected them. And I went, I'm just gonna run them down this flank, out in the open. I went, they're fast, they'll be fine, they'll be able to handle it. I didn't even know what their ability was. I thought they'll be able to handle it. And then my brother had a Schwertruppen, and he like shot them and didn't kill any. And I was like, the damage value is 6. And they're fanatics.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, you got to do an order test. And I was like, let me just remind myself what their ability is. Oh, they could just remove like D3 pins from themselves and everyone around them. And they've got a pin on them. So I'll just remove that pin. And then I'll move into point blank. And he was like, how are you moving to point blank? I'm 7 inches away. And I'm like, yeah, but I have an 8-inch. No, I'm 13 inches away. And I was like, yeah, but I have an 8-inch move because I'm fast. And he was like, and then we both had this light bulb moment. And he was like, so you can stay out of my point blank, but you can get into your own point blank, which increases your damage so much more. And then I just went in and just went double whoop whoop gun, like just start playing like the Slavjank at him point blank. And it's like wiped out 9 of like 10 Schwertruppen because I got 3 hits on each ZA gun. So that's 2 3-inch templates. Managed to basically hit nearly all of them, get all the wounds because I'm wounding them like 3s. Just like wiped out so many of them, and it was just like, okay, yeah, these guys are these. Oh, so what? So I now understand why they're 30 points per model.
Right. And DV6 is like surprisingly hard to kill, especially if they get cover. It's really like it's kind of funny because it feels like the game is simultaneously super killy, but then also like very hard to kill units. Right? It's very weird. It sounds so insane, but it's true. Like I've seen entire squads get wiped out from like a gravity gun, and then I've seen like squads survive like 3 rounds of being shot at and like lose 1 model. You know, it's just. That D6s, you know, no rerolls.
I keep swinging quite wildly between I'm not sure power armor is very good to oh my god, power armor is really good. Because I'm like, it's like, I've played another game where the Schwertruppen didn't really do much, and then I'll play, and then in the same game there'll be my Schwertruppen commander where like I think it's like all 3 of them are like running around with like LMGs, and I'm like, this is really good. So it's like it's hard to get the. I think it's 2 of them are running with LMGs, and the officer's got the STG. But it's really like I just think the game has just got so many layers to it, and every time I think I've got something figured out, it just.
It might be the case that the game does get figured out as time goes on. We're still really early on in the game's lifespan, but I will say that it feels like it has a lot of depth. There's a lot to discover, I think. And when I'm playing games, I'm kind of realizing new stuff. Like I think right now, because there's 5 factions, and I think for me, one of the struggles I have is that there's a lot of models in the range that I don't want to invest in right now because I'm waiting to see what will come out next. And that kind of means that the game feels a little bit more limited than it is, right? Because it's kind of like I'm not going to pick up any of the power armor German forces, you know. Because I've got
strong disagree, but carry on.
Yeah, well, I don't like their. I'd have to buy like custom helmets for them or something because I like them. I like not a single German in my army apart from the officers. You can see their face. They're all wearing. I don't know if they're even people in there. I think they might be demons or something. But like, that's my. So I have to buy like I'd have to like kit bash ahead for them. So I'm just kind of waiting to see what kind of comes out next because it does seem, and to their credit, Warlord will be supporting the game, and they did an AMA the other day actually where I think they mentioned that the game was performing well, like that it sold quite well, and that was something I really wanted to know, like is this game doing well. Was I right when I said to them 2 years ago that I think this could be like a cornerstone of Warlord?
Right. Yeah, I think you were right.
An interesting element of it is, I think, because we had another game this year, which was Trench Crusade. That was massive. It came out, it was huge. Like everybody was talking about Trench Crusade. It got massive tons of hype. It did really well in the Kickstarter. That was this year, right? It's been, okay, cool.
It's been a long
arrived, and
bloody year.
Yeah, it has been a long year, right? And it felt like a very, like, everyone was super hyped and excited. Obviously, there is a ton of excitement there, and there's people really enjoying the game. Konflikt 47, though, it felt more, I don't know, it felt like slower at first. It kind of like, it slowly trickled in the game, and then the hype kind of just started to organically come in as people started to play games, and they're like, hold on, this is actually really good. Like, I like Trench Crusade. I think it's awesome. I love the models. I love everyone behind it and stuff like that. It's got a really cool IP, but I don't really hear people talk about the gameplay. Like, I've played games of it. It's fun. It's good. But like, I don't really hear people like going like crazy, like, oh, Trench Crusade, you have to play it, right? Everyone fell in love with the setting. They fell in love with like the art and the vibe of the setting. With Konflikt, it feels like people started playing. They're like, oh, this is a solid game. Like, this is a really good, fun game, right? And say what you want about Rick Priestley and his game design and his love of like 6 is great, 1 is horrible. Let's see what you roll. But it creates moments in games, right? It creates these big hype, devastating moments in games where you're like, okay, I gotta roll this and I gotta do really well or else I'm fucked, you know? And you know, it might screw you over in the game, but it's memorable and you come away from the table being like, holy shit, like that was a
moment when you're just screaming at your Rail Panther, if you roll a fucking 1, I am gonna throw you out that fucking window. And then it rolls rolls a 2 to hit and you're like, oh, thank God he made it. And then he rolls the 1 to wound and you're like, fuck!
I once had a game where 2 mechs met each other in the middle of the table while all the fight was going along, and they kept on trying to fight each other, and neither of them could kill the other one. And it was just for 4 turns, they're just rock'em sock'em robots fighting in the middle of the table as like everybody else is just fighting around them, just ignore, like letting that happen. And it's like, it's kind of unbelievable, but it creates these little, and this kind of goes back to that like 2000s era style wargaming, where it creates these little stories that happen on the table. As opposed, you're not going into a game being like, I'm going to use this stratagem, then that stratagem. I got to pilot my army and like use my stratagems efficiently. I got to go in and see what happens. Right? We're gonna play it by ear a little here and like try and make gambits and take risks and see what happens and kind of adapt our strategy to that, you know? Because things are less consistent. And I think some people won't like that, but I think for me, who I play a lot of war games, I play a ton of war games. I'm in the middle of the Silver Bayonet game right now, before we started talking, and so like it's really fun. It's its own little spice, right? It has its own little flavor to it. It's not just Warhammer 40k. They're not trying to be Warhammer 40k. It is something different. Well, it's what Warhammer 40k would have been if Games Workshop had let Rick Priestley back in 2007 update Warhammer 40k when he said to them, I want to change Warhammer 40k, let's iterate on this design. They said, no, it's you go, I go, the end. And he left because of that. And so I think this is what Warhammer 40k could have been in another timeline.
Well, maybe in the Konflikt 47 timeline it will be.
Everything's more advanced there, you know.
But I think you're absolutely right. Like I always describe Konflikt as a game of heady heights and terrible lows. You will have moments that you will remember 20 years later. You'll be that best bud you're still friends with. You'll be having a comment like, hey, do you remember that time when X happened? And you're like, yeah, man, do you remember that time when X happened? Like, but people still, I don't really have any of those stories from sort of the last few years of playing like Warhammer. We're not getting salty. The last few years of Warhammer, but I have loads of those memories from sort of even in 7th edition, man. Loads of memories all the way up till then. But yeah, I just
the lone guardsman, right, who stands against the Space Marine. I always remember there was a guardsman I had who stood against Space Marines and killed them. He took them down with his sword, you know, and like he died eventually, but he killed a lot of Space Marines on the way there. And like that's lodged in my mind from like 15 years ago.
I remember similar sort of Garsden story. Demon Prince charging at one of my Lehman Russes. It like fires everything. The platoon nearby fires everything. And the Demon Prince just survives on 1 wound. And I have 1 shot left in my entire army, which was a commissar with a bolt pistol. And he
Perfect.
he literally, and he's the commissar who's like, the one that's like got the pose like
yes,
that.
my favorite commissar model. Right? Yeah.
And
yeah.
I just had this image of him, and he pulled out his pistol, one shot, one hit, guy fell to it, and he died. And I just have this image of the commissar, just everyone else is panicking around him, they're like panic firing into the demon prison. He's just sort of stoically there, like hands behind his back, like stoically there, just watching, like that's just scowl on his face, like, and without saying a word, he just, with a flourish, unbuckles his holster, pulls out his bolt pistol, enters his duelist stance, points at the demon prison that's running forward, then leads it a little bit, and then just goes bang, and just fires that one shot, and he got it, and it was an epic effort, and me and my opponent just loved it. It was great, and that's the kind of stuff that I think you get in Konflikt now.
But that's to me is the beauty. It's why I've kind of fallen off from Warhammer a little bit. To me, the beauty of wargaming is that it is kind of a story engine, right? You go to the table and you're going to tell a story with your opponent. No, it can be like a competitive, like it can be like, I feel like, and this is kind of what modern 40K is. It's kind of a story of who won the game, right? Like who
the narrative of my army is it wins.
yeah. It's that meta textual story of like, I'm at a tournament and I want to like do this and this, and that is the story that you're telling together, right? But with Konflikt, and I feel like with those older renditions of 40K, it's more of it's like you can imagine what's happening on the table.
It's immersive.
And you can see it with your mind's eye, and you're like, oh, okay. And I think that to me is where what I really love about wargaming. Because to be frank, like if I wanted to play a competitive strategy game, I would probably be playing like RT, like Command and Conquer or something, right? So I love, and also I'm not smart enough for like competitive play. It's just not where my brain is, right? Like I don't like to optimize and stuff like that. I like to take bad models and pretend like I did it for fluffy reasons. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not for competitive play. Konflikt 47, it scratches that itch where I can kind of access it casually and still feel like I can make strong decisions and take actions on the table.
So I'm going to come in from completely the opposite angle and be like, I love competitive play. Okay, I go to tournaments all the time, and this is definitely this is a product of being the younger brother growing up with an older brother who never gave him an inch. And me and my brother get on really, really well, but we're brothers, and brothers are very competitive with each other. And I love Konflikt because, as you said, it's been allowing. I'm not only a competitive player. I like competitive and I like narrative, but my brother is purely competitive. He has to always be like, he likes to play a very sharp game. And we've played a couple of games of Konflikt 47. Bear in mind, he bowed out of 40K 2 years ago, basically. And he's sort of been like a wandering pilgrim, like trying to find another game for him. He tried AOS.
A replacement.
Tried AOS. He didn't. It didn't gel with him. He's played a bit of dystopian world stuff. He likes that. Played a bit of BattleTech. Likes that. Went to Burrows and Badgers and he loves that. But that's very much just like that's not competitive. That's
the opposite direction.
Yeah. So he plays that like he is. Everyone likes to have a holiday, so he has like his competitive mindset. But he'll go to Burrows and Badgers. But he's come to Konflikt 47, and it's like he's found what he's been looking for 2 years. And he just loves the fact that he can play this game as a good competitive player and be rewarded for playing well, not be rewarded because he has turned up with the best possible units and that he picked up off the internet and all that kind of stuff. And so I think what I love about Konflikt 47 is the casual players can play it, learn it, access it, love it, and they are not excluded from the table, and they'll still be able to walk away from the game having been even if they lose the game, they can walk away from the game with a new story to tell, a new epic high, a new epic moment. And the competitive players can go in there and they will be rewarded because they're like playing the best possible game they can do, and they'll probably be rewarded with the win, but both sides are coming away with something. Whereas I think, and again, I really want to avoid this becoming a Konflikt v 40K video. So I'm just going to this one point, and then not going too far down the rabbit hole.
We'll see.
I'm just gonna. You're not gonna get me, Discourse. It's staying positive.
It's coming.
But I think with 40K, because it's so competitive now, and we said this whole like trash VOP, and units kind of just come in and then just explode. Like there's no will it or won't it kill it? Like no, it's 50. It's got 1 billion attacks with rerolls, blah 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 blah. So
yeah, it's consistent. There's a consistency in 40K these days.
There's consistency in 40K, and the problem with that is that the only thing that is left is winning and losing. There's no what about the stuff that happened that wasn't winning? So if you play a game of 40K and you lose, it can actually just feel like you wasted your time. Because the only thing to be gained is, did you win or did you lose? That's it. Whereas with I have a terrible win rate in Konflikt. I'm going to be honest with you. Like this thing is dire. This thing just, it shouldn't exist. I think I won one. Yeah. Like, I think I won one.
And yet you're still here. You're still here.
I am still here because like this is the key moment. I'm going to bring it back to Konflikt now. My brother and I have played 40K for a long time, and it's all we get so angry when we play that game. So angry.
Yeah.
So frustrating. And it's only ever got more angry and more frustrating. And we play Konflikt. And the thing is, the reason why we got angry is because one person would always just smash the other person. There was no, it was a close game. It was just one person is smashing another person. And we get the last couple of games we played of Konflikt. I have, for the first time in 25 years of playing against my brother, had him sweating. and as the younger brother, if I can make my older, even if I lose, if I can make my older brother squirm, I'm like, this was a good game for me. This was a good game. And he's only won the last 2 games because one Shrek Wolfen survived. The rest of his army basically got destroyed because of the way like sticky objectives and stuff work in Konflikt. Like he survived because one Shrek, I got him down to basically one Shrek Wolfen in 2 games. And it's just like, and I had most of my army left over. And it's like, that's so close. Like I actually have had him like sweating, like panicking. It's so good. That's what I want. That's what I want from the game.
That's tantalizing because you want to play again, right? You want to go back and like try to like
I'll get him next time.
Next time. Right. Because anything can happen, right, on the table. Like at the end of the day, you can have the best list ever, but then like what happened to me, you can have your elite, best of the best, Paragon squad who are like super soldiers from America, roll a foobar on the side of the table, and then because they're super fast, they just run off the table and insta-die. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess I shouldn't have rolled 2 1s. Or 2 6s, right? 2 6. So like, it can happen, and you just... you can consolidate about that, but you just have to accommodate.
Entire Paragon's on Lieutenant Dykes. We're gonna go get help.
Yeah. Oh, they knew it was going bad. Yeah, it's like I need these guys to perform. I'm losing on my left flank. These guys are holding the right flank. I'm going to advance on, take their home objective. It's going to be amazing. I got 1 pen. What's the worst that can happen? Yeah, and off they run. they foobar, and that will happen. And it's up to you and your generalship to deal with that and to try and like accommodate for it, right? Don't rely on like one guy, like one squad maybe, hold on your entire right flank, right? But yeah, like and the thing is as well, and I think that an element of this is, as someone who is like, I'm playing like 3 different armies, they all feel so different from one another. So every single time I play,
so distinctive.
Like I'm playing in this campaign at the minute. I'm playing as Axis, right? I'm playing against Soviets and I'm playing against British. But I keep on being like, can we play like a non-campaign game? Because I want to play like the Japanese again. Can I go America? Like, because I mean, for the Americans are so crazy. They all do their own crazy things, right? Like, and that's what I love. I love it when every faction feels imbalanced. Where whenever you hear someone describe their faction abilities, they go, wait, hold on, you can do what?
What?
Right? Yeah. But everyone gets that. So it's sort of all balances out in the end. Because like the Americans, they fly into the board with like their jetpack troopers and their like linebackers. So like turn 1, there's nothing on one side. So you try to get your crude up to the enemy deployment zone. But it doesn't matter because they can land anywhere they want, like on that table. So it's just like 1 inches away from an enemy model. So you just have this huge force just land out of nowhere on exactly where they need to be, shooting tanks in their air, like with their infantry with their plus pen, like shooting into dogs. Like it's awesome.
And then
So
carry on.
Well, the Japanese then, like they're all about ambushes. Like they have like such a different play style, right? They've got their infantry who can kill tanks, so don't get near their entire army, right? Because they get bonuses to cover saves when in ambush, which is just so good. They can charge out of, which is one of those. I feel like that's one of those things where you read it at first, and you're like, why would I want to do that? Like, why would I want to do that? You know? And then you realize, like, okay, actually, this is great. Because sometimes melee is oftentimes a lot better than a rifle, I think, if you can get into melee with things. Because you get the 6s and 6s. So you can always try to kill things that maybe your rifles couldn't hurt otherwise. And then, of course, they get like the OP ability that they had in like the previous edition of Bolt Action, which is everything's fanatic. So they don't give it, they don't care. They're like, they're just gonna deal with it. And then this, okay, so I don't know about you. I'd like to hear. I'd like to know what your favorite like national characteristic is, or like ability in the game. You know, I think for me, it's probably the Soviets and their wub-wubs, right? The brown noise. You know the brown noise they send out like every turn.
It's Yuri from Command and Conquer. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah,
the psychic dominator.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's like, why can't we all just get along? You know. Yeah. Every single turn, like your units can get pinned, and it's just constant, and it's so impactful on the game, and it feels so cool because unlike it, and I know that we're doing it a lot, but it's hard not to compare the game to Warhammer. Just because it's the biggest game in the market, and it's the game that like most people will be familiar with who watch this video.
But we have to just make sure we're not just being like, fuck GW! Like, as long as we're just being fair.
Because in the last edition of 40K, when they brought in the God, what is it? Like the morale system that they brought in, where you can be Battle shock, that's it. Right? I was like, this is a great idea, right? The idea that you can like be a controlling piece, like you can actually control models. You don't have to kill them outright, but if you can shut them down and make them useless for the game, then it's just as good, right? Obviously in practice, it just turned out to be kind of a bit shit, but because no one gets battle shocked. It does, nothing happens, right? It's not like that in Conflict or Bolt Action. Yeah. When you take pins, it's risky. It creates risk for you. And it's all about risk management in this game. You don't want to get risked. But I always felt like what I wanted, the Tyrannid, like national characteristic, right?
Oh my God, the ability.
Yeah, it should have been that. That should have been the terror of the warp, right?
Everyone's feeling like the corners of their mind.
You can feel like, the eldritch horror. Yeah, it should have been that. And if
I can't see that now.
Like that's to me. Those two abilities, those two like faction abilities are like very directly comparable. It's just that one is fucking useless and one is so integral, right? To the strategy of a faction. And you know, like I'm really happy that the Konflikt 47 exists, because I think that it is a good demonstration. The classic war game design still works, right? It still works. It creates a really fun play, and not everything has to be quite so tight, you know. It doesn't have to be quite so necessarily competitively minded. Although that said, I do think that they intend for Konflikt 47 to be a competitive game as well, and I'm happy to hear that it holds up the sub scrutiny at least. We'll see, but it feels like a game that's been play tested.
I mean, yes. Oh my God! Like when people. I don't think GW could ever claim to playtest anything ever again, because now I actually know what a playtested game feels like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know what it does. But yeah, I totally agree. And so I think what's important to understand is when Warlords say they intend for Konflikt to be a competitive game, they don't mean, because I've chatted to the Konflikt team. I'm very, very fortunate. They've been very, very accommodating and answering all my questions. And I previously mentioned Dan is literally sick of hearing from me. I'm sorry, Dan. But what they mean by that is, if you look at like Bolt Action, you could turn it with like 4 Nebelwerfers and just flatten everyone, and like no one's going to have any. Like you have to almost have like that gentleman's agreement. Like, don't bring all the Nebs, please. Today. Yeah. Like just one will do. Thank you very much. But with Konflikt, what they mean is that like it's had the idea of competitive play there whilst they've been designing the game, but it's not like in the center. It's in the room, but it's just sort of a chair near the back. But it's in the room. They've kept an eye on it. Yeah, it's one of many pillars. Yeah.
And that makes sense, right? Because you want match play to work. I think that for vast majority of people are going to play like casual games, like at a game store or with friends. They're just going to meet up for like a one-off game every so often. and then they're going to paint their models for the next game, right? And I think that's like the really important one to just get right. For sure, just like straight off the bat, that has to be functional, and it really is. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but if it like I saw some like the models change and stuff like that between like the before release and after release, right? Like, because I played it at UKGE, and the stats were different for some models at UKGE versus at the release. So clearly they've been playing it.
Yeah.
Right. Like all the way up. Like there's been iterations in design, and it's really good to see. And I hate that it feels great because it really should be the norm, I think. But a lot of, and it's not just Games Workshop, right? A lot of companies, I think, do not play test their games very well, or they skip by on a sort of like, well, it's for fun. It's all fluffy, you know, let's just, and that's fine to an extent, right? Like at the end of the day, it is an adult game, but yeah, you know, it's nice to see a company actually, especially one with Warlord's pedigree, right? Like they've got a long history of game design. It's nice to see that in play.
I think the big thing is when I've been chatting to the people at Warlord, the reason they've play tested it so much is because they just really enjoy it. So it's not like, oh, fuck's sake, do we have to play test this? It's like, fancy a game? All right, then.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
that's a really good sign about a game that you're designing, that you're like, you want to play it more. You know what I mean? Like that's, because I'm really glad to hear that, because sometimes with companies, you know, there could be a desire to just get things shipped, like for timelines and things like that, and just get it out ASAP. And obviously, you know, there's some little boo-boos in the book and things like that. There's some stuff that had been missed. And
there's 2 D-days. Have you seen that? If you look at the timeline, there's 2 D-days.
Okay, that's a pretty big
It's
boo-boo.
a copy and paste. And I pointed this out to the team, and they were like, what? and I said, I showed them the book, and they had a good chuckle. They were like, fuck's sake. Okay. Yeah. And I said, look, don't worry, you can totally lean into this. Just in one of the campaign books, have it where D-Day 1 like failed, and they had to do D-Day 2 like a year later.
Lean into it.
Just lean into it. But, you know, tongue in cheek, like lean into it. Yeah. I think that
rocks.
Yeah. But you asked me, what's my favorite mechanic? I got a controversial one. Okay. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this. Okay. Guts. Well, I think Guts is so amazingly good. And it's one of those abilities where I've seen so many battle reports of people just like, oh yeah, I forgot about my guts points. And I did it in my first few games. Like, oh, I just forgot about my guts points. And now I'm just like, I want guts. I want guts. I want everything. Like, and you talk about like paragons before, like they did the foobar. I had something similar happen to me. And I just went, I'll just lower my dice roll by 1. No foobar here. And now pass. And now I'm just doing what I want. Yeah, it's
I was using my guts to activate again for a second time.
I do that as well. I do that as well. But
there was no more guts for me to prevent the foobar, unfortunately.
How I did it is I had a turn where if you read the rule, it just says once you activate them. So I was like, go down. I don't want you to do anything. And they were like, okay, here's a guts point. And I was like, sweet. And then next turn, I was like, okay, now I'm going to have 2 guts points. So I'm going to activate them, have one in the bank, and then have a guts point that I'm going to generate off this. And so that really, really helped, because I was like, okay, I'm going to run out and with a guts point, put my dice back in the bag, but still have a guts point from when I generated it last turn. And then that means that I activate, I can't gung-ho again, but what that means is that when I can use that when I charge into combat, and then I could use that to like improve a dice roll, because I'm charging into something that's like Shrekwolf or something. I need that. 6s are pretty gnarly, but if I've got a 5 and a 6, I can just like potentially kill 2 Shrekwolfen. So I really like guts. And going back to what you're saying, like the Americans being like super maneuverable, I think there's, when you first play Americans, I think you feel, I've seen a few people think that the Americans are a bit underpowered. And it's like the last game that I played with them, I felt so overpowered, because I was like, everything's got fly, everything's fast, everything can basically deep strike. So actually, no, this is insane. This is unbelievably insane. Everything's activated twice.
Yeah, you fight where you want to fight. You don't need to be everywhere, right? You can just be wherever you want to be at any time. It's absolutely incredible. And I think what you were saying about the guts and the paragons, though, I think is a great example of how the play happens at the table, right? It doesn't happen necessarily in the list building. It's like, how do I actually take advantage of this and get value out of these points and make the paragons like worth a while? And it makes you think about what you're doing. And you have to adapt to what's happening on the table and get them moved into certain positions and try to survive. Yeah. It's awesome. It really does. It feels like such a great strategy game. Although talking about the Americans, like they really remind me of classic kind of like Tau battle suits where they could shoot and then move. And oh god, it's so annoying. I used to play against a Tau player, and it's just like nightmares coming back.
Yeah, I think when people saw that, there was definitely an element of it, but the fact that it's a 2d6 roll. So I've been like, okay, I'm going to jump in. And then on average, I should roll a 7, which will allow me to get back behind this wall. And then I roll a 3, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Now what you going to do, right? Now
I guess I'm just going to die then.
Guess I die. Yeah, that's, and you're in close range. You can't even shoot at them when they charge at you, right?
Yeah.
But I think that if you're someone who doesn't want to do like the monsters element of stuff, I think USA are a great faction because they get those like Thompson X's with the, if you want to be the dude who's like, I'm all human, like just humans and like human, mortal man against the monsters. I think that America's a great faction for that because their monster units are the Paragon squads. They're not really monsters. They're like a little Captain America miniature. You know what I mean? So it rocks. And every faction it has that little aesthetic. And I like how they're in the lore, they're differentiating the factions now. They're making them feel different because one of my problems I had in the previous edition was that like the allies were the allies. You had a USA and Britain together, and they were all sharing the same technology, and they were kind of using the same mechs and stuff, and
they're all friends.
Slight different.
Yeah.
But then in the new edition, it's like FDR's going into the rift, and he's come out as like a Superman, and he's like, "Let's go to war for Christ, this king!" Right? And it's
freedom, baby. Let's go. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, they're making it 40K pilled, right? Like they're trying to make it 40K."
I love that FDR is the God Emperor's origin story. I love that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it works.
That's a selling point to me. I like that. Yeah,
I agree. And it gives you flavor, right? It means that you can like flavor your army in a certain way. Plus, they've been changing all the factions, right? Like whenever you read into the lore of all of them, you can see there's these rifts, pun intended, in the in the kind of like the ideologies of the factions. You got the British, the Commonwealth. You've got like the sort of like the Empire, right? Like, and you've got the unions versus like robots, basically, which is pretty sick. And you've got like with the Japanese, it seems like there is pro-emperor forces and then pro-military junta kind of forces that are opposed to one another. Americans got super religious and not so super religious, and they're doing that Warhammer 40K thing, which is so great for a war game, which is everybody can fight everybody, but also they can fight themselves, so we can justify mirror matches, right?
It's just
it's the basic building blocks of a lore and setting that's been built for a war game, as opposed to like just books or whatever. It's like that. It's those little competencies that I love to see. That I'm like, okay. Because this means when I go to do a mirror match, I'm not like struggling to figure out like why someone is fighting somebody else,
The old, it's a training exercise.
Lame. No. This is why I love Sisters of Battle. Because every single time I fight someone, I'm like, you're a heretic. You gotta go. You gotta go. You're wrong about your religious convictions, and I am correct as per you. So we're gonna deal with this. So they're kind of cooking with the lore as well, which is pretty cool.
Have you seen some of the talent they've got behind it though?
Oh yeah,
I've got the guy from Gotrek and Felix writing the lore for him.
Yeah, I was really. I was surprised that they threw so much weight behind like the lore of the game, because to be honest, it's not usual for Warlord games, right? Like usually they just do like IP games if it's not a historical game, right? Like they've got the historical game, like Bolt Action has like here's World War II. This is Hitler.
Right? He's a bad
Let me introduce you to this. Let me introduce you to this guy. Right, and so like that's it's Bolt Action, right? Or they're doing like a Judge Dredd game or something, and there's like just a little bit of fluff in that. But this feels like the first time that they're doing a game that I guess that isn't isn't God, what do you call the Rick Priestley game? The D10 based one.
Gates and Towers.
Gates and Towers, yeah. Which The less said about that, I think, the better. So this is like, they're really doubling down on like trying to make this like a big IP in and of itself. They're talking about novels. Like, they're going to be doing novels of this. My worry is that like, are they going to have like a satisfying answer for stuff? Or are they going to not answer it? And I kind of prefer, I would prefer them to do the latter. Like, I hope they keep like things like, what is the nature of the rift, for example? I want to keep that all very like fuzzy wuzzy. Although I have solved it, like I know what the rift is. Like I do know what it is. Like I solved the lore on that one.
Do you want to share, or is it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I figured it out. It's just the rift is just magic. That's all it is. It's just like chaos. It's like yeah, it's just magic. It's literally magic because I trigged onto it whenever I was reading about the fluff on like the Thompson X's for the USA. They use a type of technology that in the 30s they thought would work to create like super high projectile rounds. Yeah. But in the 30s they created test prototypes. It didn't work. This is just that gun with a bit of rift added on. It's just magic. It's orc magic, right? It's just like they believe it works because this is magic introduced to a scientific age. And so they're applying it. They're like making robots and AI and stuff. They can't do that. It's just fucking magic, dude. It's just they're applying magic onto it, going, maybe this will work to create the AI we're trying. Oh my God, it did. Because that's what we hoped for. Yeah, that's what we expected, right? And perfect. That's great. I think that's what the Rift stuff is. And I'm good because they can make all sorts of wacky shenanigans with that stuff.
I think it's, I think I quite like it. I really like that idea that it's just magic because it kind of falls into one of the reasons why I love a lot of things about Warhammer 40k and Warhammer Old World is that science exists alongside magic. And so one of the funny things that I remember reading this on like I think it might be like Daka like years. I'm talking like 16 years ago. And someone was like, one of the really cool things about Warhammer Old World, if you look at the year, it's like the year 2500, and it's like so it's that obviously it's a made up calendar, but it's like weirdly there could be potentially actually like 500 years ahead of where we are. But why is the technology like so behind where we are? And it's like, well, because in our world, it's like if something happens that you can't explain, you could say it's magic, but then you can there is actually just the laws of science. And science's role in our world is to basically disprove magic and to bring facts out of myth and all that kind of stuff. But in Old World, if a lightning bolt strikes your house and blows up your chimney, and someone goes, "A witch hath smiteth thee," 50-50, they're right.
They're probably right. Yeah, they're probably right.
It's really hard when you haven't got a control group, and it's really hard to advance.
Could have been the gods. Like they're real. I mean, like I've seen one. Like like
Sigmar did exist. Like there's no question about this.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. And I guess that's getting, I think there's a little bit of sprinkling of that happening now with the Rift tech into, and I suspect we're going to start seeing like, I think as it goes on, I believe this is just my reading of like kind of how they've answered some questions and stuff like that. I think they're going to like actually get weirder as it goes on too. It feels like they're kind of, because they were mentioning like hover technology, and they were like, okay, we don't want to bring in hover for 1947. That seems too early for that, which obviously implies that maybe in 1948 we might start seeing some hover stuff. So I'm really curious to see their plans, because they've been very open about the fact they've got like a 5-year plan for the game, that they have at least that far ahead in terms of like models and lore and fluff and new stuff. And it's exciting. It's like at the beginning of something here, it's at the beginning of something. And what I really like is, like I said, it doesn't feel like they've just captured hype and just profited off it. It feels like they're building it. Like it's actually being built, I
think that's a really big difference. It's actually coming from the community. It's organic. It's not, I mean, frankly, Warlords marketing has been just like whatever with this game. Like, oh, we made a new game, here you go. And it's people like us who have actually gone, wait, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
This is great. Like, and what captured me, because Warlord hasn't paid me like a penny to shill this game. I have just gone, I like this, so I'm going to talk about it. That's always been my philosophy of like making like content and stuff. If I like it, I'll talk about it. That's basically it. And I remember the exact moment when I basically got Konflikt curious, and I was like, I'm going to look more into this, which was when the first lore articles came out about the Americans and the Axis. And I remember reading the bit about them wheeling, you know, did FDR like walk into the rift or did they like...
He wheeled in, push
him and I was like...
I want to see it.
And then he came back and I was just like, what the fuck am I reading here? This is insane, but in a good way. This is amazing.
It's really high concept, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the bit that really got me Konflikt confirmed is when they did the article, and this sort of goes back to what we talked about lore and how they put a lot of weight behind it. And I think this is an example of how people often think lore is an afterthought, but it really, really isn't. The number one reason why someone will buy an army in 40k, traditionally, may have changed now, but traditionally was they read about it in a book. I can guarantee you the only reason that Night Lords even have a kit is because everyone loves the Night Lords trilogy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or, I mean, or it's a vibe, right? They love the vibe of the army, and that is informed by the lore of that army, right? Like that, it's purely like people glob on to like things that they really love, like. And this is why Warhammer's been so successful, because it's gotten so much other media out there. You know, it's got like videos and YouTube videos and like books and stuff, and people get interested in wargaming through that media, and then they get into the game, right? It's hard. Like that's how they get the new blood. Yeah. That's how Games Workshop get new blood in. And so it's kind of interesting that the Warlord have now identified that, and they're like, okay, we're going to do a similar thing. And I'm really hopeful that it works, because one, the game rocks, and I wanted to get more players, but also I do feel like wargaming as a hobby needs as many entry points as possible.
Yeah.
Because right now, this is a big thing for me. This is something like that I talk a lot about, is that wargaming, right? It has Warhammer, which is like 99% of like the wargaming hobby. Yeah. And then you got like wargaming, right? Yeah. And so this is like something I always get, because people always refer to it as the Warhammer hobby. And this like kind of annoys me, because I don't think that Warhammer is a separate hobby from wargaming. I think it's part of one big hobby. I think we're all doing different things, right? You don't have to just be exclusively playing Warhammer. You can play other games. And so this is why I liked one-page rules as well. It's like these little gateway games that like make you realize that, oh, actually, I like wargaming. I actually enjoy wargaming, not just Warhammer. And you, like you say, you get like, maybe you get Konflikt curious, and you check out other games. But I feel like once you break the seal and you play a different game, I think it opens you up for the rest of the hobby. I think if you've played one other game, you'll play many other games, right? Like, because you'll realize that actually it's really fun. Like there's lots of different iterations of wargaming and different versions of it that they all have something to offer, and they all do something different, you know? That's not to say that Warhammer's bad, but like there's other good stuff, right? And so 100%. And that's why I'm always, every single time, I'm always like, okay, I really hope this one does really well and is really big, because we need competition in the hobby. Like we need competition in the hobby as much as possible, because a lot of the things that people complain a lot about in, you know, from like Games Workshop and stuff, like that will continue on unless there is competition and there's other companies that can put pressure on them who can do it a different way, who can demonstrate that actually this is a successful business model. Yeah. Otherwise, Games Workshop will never need to. It'd be like, you know, like the say what you want about the console wars and things like that and how silly they were, but they inspired the different companies to like innovate and try to best the other one. And Games Workshop, it does not have an equal. It is on its own out there, just doing whatever it wants. Yeah. And so there needs to be more pressure in the market. There needs to be more pressure in the hobby. And I think that Konflikt 47, I think it has the legs to do that. I don't think it's like a Warhammer killer, but it has the legs to actually put pressure on Games Workshop. And in 5 years, maybe it could be a Warhammer killer, right? Yeah. If it continues to grow, if the organic growth keeps happening and people play games, and maybe there's a little tournament scene that kind of springs up. Maybe people start reading the books. Maybe someone does a crazy YouTube video that gets like 5 million views, and everyone's like, oh, I want to be one of these style trooping. Okay, not those, but but you know what I mean, right? Like, maybe there will be like a different one. Yeah.
Goodbye to Discourse's career. That was good.
Hold on the green screen and reveal the background. My little shrine behind there.
It's just the green screen comes out and it's just the green vault again.
Very clever. The green vault thing. Very clever move. I was a little bit iffy when I first heard it, because I went to UKG this year and I beelined straight to Warlord games. Like I was the first person there at UKG at the Warlord section. And they were like, okay, this is the Green Vault. And I'm like, hold on now. Come on.
Where are the Nazis?
Yeah, right. And it felt like to an extent, and I think I'm surprised there hasn't been more people kind of saying this, because I was worried that this is kind of how I felt at first, was that it kind of felt like it was minimizing the history a little bit, right? That it was like, well, hold on, these guys are still the Germans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, they are the Nazis. At the risk of demonetizing this video, but
that's all right.
But I get it. I get it from a commercial perspective. Like, and I've seen the emails and things like that they're sending out to game stores that are like, you know, like, oh, stock our game. And one of the selling points that they're providing to those game stores is that, you know, that they've denazified the game to an extent with name changes, right? It's the Axes now, right? So you don't need to like explain it, because I think that one of those things. Wargaming needs like 14-year-old boys, right? It needs them like it really needs them, because it needs.
What was the analogy going to be?
No, we're gonna set that aside. We're gonna set that aside. We're moving on, right? It needs them, right? It needs 14-year-old boys. I mean, it needs 14-year-old kids, right? It needs children. It needs children to come in, and one of the people, like our parents, right? They're the barrier, I think, for some people getting into war games, because ultimately they're gonna like have to buy the content for like for their kids for like Christmas or whatever. And I think that having like Nazis on a box kind of puts some people off. They don't want to have like they don't want their kid to be playing with like Nazi toys. You know what I mean? They don't want to see all the swastikas and stuff like that. So Warlord
pulling out the transfer sheet like
well, what the fuck, right? And I think that is a concern for some parents, right? Whereas like this way, they're like, it's the Axes, it's a different thing, and obviously they're gonna be they're like, okay, the Green Vault are still really bad. Okay. Because ultimately at the end of the day, I think it is an aesthetic thing for the war game. I think it's for parents often just an aesthetic thing. Like, they're not going to read the books. Like, they're not going to read like into the lore. Like, who are these Green Vault fellas then, Timmy? You know, like, they're not, they don't care about that. They don't want swastikas on their kids' toys. And this almost collapsed Games Workshop in the 2018 or so, when they didn't have enough new blood coming in into Warhammer. And I think for a game like this to survive, you need like cycles of new people coming in constantly. And I think long term, it makes sense to me. For sure that this is why they've made it like the Green Vault and things. I just hope that they are despicable, right? But it feels like we're going in a more sci-fi cartoony place as opposed to like real life historical atrocities.
Yeah. And look, I think there's two elements to it. And yes, absolutely, Warlord is going to be like, we want to be able to sell this game. We want it to be a success. And at the end of the day, they are a business, and you shouldn't begrudge them for doing that. But there's a right way of doing it, and there's a wrong way of doing it. And without getting too into what will be very spicy territory, some law changes that Games Workshop has done recently have been like, this always existed. Don't think about it. And it's like, okay, like what the idea you're throwing out there, GW, most people would be totally okay with it, but it's the way that you brought it in, which has kind of ruffled a lot of people's feathers. And then you've got like the way that Warlord has done
This
it.
is the trans Space Marines, right?
I was trying to avoid it. All right, so the comment section is going to be 1,000 comments long now. Everyone's just like, because I'm going to make it even worse. Talking about female space is like talking about the Middle East. Just talking about it will make it worse. Like
I believe in a two-state solution. I think
stop.
We got firstborn and Primaris. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. Yeah.
There's two different types of Space Marines now.
Oh my God. But I think the way that where was I before this video got blocked? I think the way that Warlord has done it is great because people can go, okay, we kind of know from a commercial point of view why you've done it, but you've actually put the effort into explaining it within the confines of the universe. You haven't just gone, it's this way now, deal with it. And it's like, I think that makes such a difference.
It was very sudden. Like, it was very like a nigh, like the Green Vault are in charge. But we don't really know.
They've said that they're going to explain where they came from.
Yeah.
And
there's going to be like books and things. So
yeah. And they've also, man, I can't say too much. But there's a few that they're definitely going to be explaining where they come from. Yeah.
Okay,
they've been around a long
that's good because I love like secret societies and like, you know, the idea of there being like an Illuminati and conspiracies and stuff like that.
They've been around a really long time. We're not talking 10 years. We're not talking 20 years. We might not even be talking 100 years. We're talking like they've been around.
An ancient conspiracy.
Yes,
yeah. That's the vibe I got. Yeah. And they know about rifts, right? Like they seem to have a little bit of an idea about what the rifts are and things like that. So.
Yeah, man, I cannot say because Warlord will be very upset with me, but yes, the Green Vault has been aware of rifts for a while now. And then, why did they have all the like science equipment set up in Dresden? Like they must have
ready to go. Yeah,
ready to go. Why didn't they like evacuate the city? They knew it was coming. They could have, all this kind of stuff. So they've dropped so
that's
many,
harsh.
They've dropped many hints. They've dropped many hints.
They don't evacuate?
No, they left. They knew it was coming and they didn't evacuate their people. The Green Vault.
Nah.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Because I think at the time of when Dresden bombing happened in K47, the Nazi Party was still in power. I don't know. I could be getting this wrong, but I think the Nazi Party was power. So then the bomb dropped, the rift opened, and the Green Vault went, it's our time.
And then,
then they overthrew. Yeah. And Warlord Games, and what's also really important, they've said this in writing and they've said it in interviews. There are still absolutely Nazi holdouts in Konflikt 47. The Green Vault has done their best to purge them, but there's like one of the ideas that I chatted to them with because it come from my community is one person in my community has built has got like an SS holdout army, and they're acting almost like it's like a partisan fashion behind the lines.
Oh God,
within the Axis, they're on the run. And they've got a single hair from Hitler's mustache. And they're trying to use that to try to get their hands on totem core technology to clone him and bring him back.
Clone Hitler.
And that's their whole thing. And I just love that. Yeah.
I have that model. I have that Hitler model. So
I love that. Yeah.
That's very fun. But I love that high concept stuff, the sci-fi, silly things you can do with that. But again, that's kind of the war game setting building, right, where you can do interfaction conflict, that you can have like people who are like party loyal versus like the Green Vault, and you can have like confusion and and things are changing, and it feels like the context is getting into one that is less like World War II and everything you know about World War II and like, oh well, the Germans were screwed at this point, and because that's how the old conflict was. It was like kind of like it was World War II up until like a certain moment, and then rift technology comes up and it kind of gives the Germans like this leg up that they never had. But this version, it seems like we're going into a status quo. We're going into that like 4th edition style Warhammer version where everything's just like settled a little bit, and then you can just create your own stories in that context. So it feels like we're settling down where like the Axis have just got a portion of Europe. A portion of Europe is like, free Europe from like with the Allies, Commonwealth and the USA. Then there's the Soviet bloc and the Japanese. Well, the Japanese, like the thing I love they've done with the Japanese is that the Japanese always feel like they're kind of like off in their own little biome, like their own like little like Pacific War, They're
in the basement.
Are they here in like Europe? Yeah. But they have teleporting technology now, right? Like they can teleport. So I've just done it that Ireland is now a Japanese stronghold island. This is a bunch of like, that's who my Japanese force are, the tsunami force, who've just teleported into Ireland, and like they've seized like the docks of Dublin, and now you got Japan in Europe. So now I can do Europe battles with my Japanese. Be like, this is why. Yeah, there you go.
They can literally pop up anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, they could just teleport around. They could be in a foxhole under your feet right now. You don't know.
Yeah. I mean, half of them went in, but only half the force turned up. The other half went into the rift and didn't come out. Which I love that about the Ghost Warriors.
I love. Yeah, they're so cool. They're probably one of my favorite rift units, the Ghost Warriors. Just the core concept of them being able to like move through walls and like disappear into other realities and come out of those, and they're in those big scuba diving kind of gear, right? It's so cool, and the new models look sick. And can we talk about the sculpts?
Can
we talk about the sculpts?
Yeah.
Because they look good. Like the newest I like the starter set stuff. I like the style troop, and I think they look really cool. I love the Vogelspinne.
Yeah.
I love the models in there. I love the US forces as well. But man, some of those models in the new like starter sets, so the Soviet bloc, the Walker in that set looks so awesome. It looks like something out of the Cold War has just stepped out.
Yeah.
The samurai, like because this was the thing, I always felt like the Japanese were kind of missing a little bit of that identity, like that kind of visual kind of flair. And I think they're really stepping it up with like all the samurai iconography and like the new like armored troops and stuff.
Well, the whole thing in the history of like Japan and World War II is that they basically perverted the Bushido code, and then they used that to basically indoctrinate everybody. And that's how you had them being so fanatical and doing all the banzai charges and all that kind of stuff, because they basically, the military commanders of the country knew that if they took this and then applied on a mass scale, they could basically get the people to do whatever they need them to do, kind of thing. And so I really like the fact that, 2 years, on from 1945. I mean, how far have they perverted this thing at this point? Now everyone is actually running around with like swords and like full like the old like bamboo armor, not bamboo, like the plates of armor and everything.
Yeah.
And they just basically they've had to go more and more samurai to get people more and more like into it. Yeah.
Yeah, into it. Yeah, and and the new Scorpion tank as well just looks sick. It looks so good. It looks so good, and it was kind of a problem because I saw the starter sets, like, damn, these all look so good. I really want them all,
Here's another 0 APR credit card that's gonna take a real hammering. that's 12 months in troubles time Mordian's problem.
Asking Warlord for a review copy, like sending me, okay, so I gotta check it out. Huh?
Funny thing about that Soviet Walker, the Molot, right? So I was talking about John earlier, like giving a shout out. So he used to work in the Siocast, like Warlord Resin team for Warlord. Him and he actually has moved into actually model designing. And little shout out, which is he used to just like design models in his spare time in like a scrapbook. And Warlord actually saw his stuff and were like, "You're really good at that. Would you like to cultivate?" We like do that. And so really cool that they've cultivated that talent in-house for one. But the first project that they gave him for Konflikt 47 was, can you make a redesigned Kazakh/Cossack Walker? And he was like, yeah, sure. And he just kept like adding more armor onto it. And then he like presented his design and they were like, that is a really chunky boy. And he was like, oh no, have I messed up? And they were like, no. We're going to make that into a model. We still need to do the Kazakh thing, but that's actually really good. And so that's why when you read the lore around the new Molot, it's like, it says, it started out as a design for the Kazakh, but after adding more armor on, the Soviets realized that it was like too slow and it wasn't really and it's like, it's so cool that something that happened in real life, they ran with it and they put it into...
that is awesome. Yeah.
It's awesome. And I tell you what, it's kind of funny. I was actually kind of surprised about the reaction to the Molot. Because I saw it and thought it looked awesome, but I also saw it and went, it's just a really big, like, thick walker. It's so basic. There's no, like, riff going on it or anything. It's so basic. And I was like, people are not going to respond to it because it's not rifty. And then the number one response I had from it is like, I love it. It looks exactly like a walker the Soviet Union would build. It's crude, it's basic, it's just really up armored, like it just looks ungainly, like it looks look at the linebacker, smooth.
Yeah, jumpy. It looks like a plane almost. The linebacker,
and then look at the Molot, it's like, ugh.
That's awesome. Like, they've really doubled down on making every faction have this own visual identity, and it's great. It's what the game really needed, honestly, because it's kind of like the opposite of that bolt action problem where everybody feels. Same. Like they're kind of the same thing, right? You can paint you're still just bad guys. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, they're very minute differences because it's a historical game. But now they can just go balls to the wall and
it's
just
the freedom
go crazy with it. Yeah.
Konflikt 47 gives them the freedom, the stuff that they probably felt they couldn't do, and I think at least at the moment, obviously who knows what it'll be 5, 10, 20 years time. But at the moment, I think the talent they have and the experience they have in the team is going to keep them. Like, we're going to go balls to the wall, but we've got the experience not to let this get the better of ourselves.
Go too far.
Exactly. And that's, I think that's why I said at the beginning, like, Konflikt 47, it feels like it's an old school war game, but remastered for a new generation of war gamers. And I think that's why I think that's why it's hit so hard. And look, I know I said it wasn't going to be. I know I wasn't going to say I was going to be salty about 40K. This is the last thing I'm going to say. This is the last thing I'm going to say, which is 40K feels so last year. Like the way the mechanics play, the way it does things. You're just like,
yeah.
It feels like someone getting a BlackBerry after like the iPhone came out. Do you know what I mean? It's like.
To me though, like it feels even beyond that, because I still like. I like Warhammer 40K and I still play Warhammer 40K. Yeah. I haven't played a lot of 10th edition this year, but I played a little bit of it whenever it first came out and things like that. And I like it. Like I do like the game, but I do every single time I go to play it again after playing all these other games, I always bump into that I go, you go kind of structure, like core structure of the game. And I'm like, look, I understand it can be balanced. They can do things to like balance that, but the pacing is so bad. It doesn't do anything for the game. You're just waiting for like, you can do some reactions and stuff here and there, but compare that to like the dice spike system and like Konflikt, where it's so crazy because sometimes it's just like you take actions with your unit and then you're like, all right, what now? Oh yeah, that's right. We just see what happens next. And you just go. And it's just constant. There's no downtime. You're just constantly going like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And it's so good. And the activations are kind of crazy. Like they're fun because you don't know who's going to get activated next and you're hopeful that you're going to get it, or maybe you don't want to get, you know what I mean? And it just rocks, dude. Like every element of it, I think, is great, because I think with bolt action, there were some creaks here and there. There's some little issues I have with bolt action. This feels like an iteration on that, like a better, for me, a better version. Because even like we go all the way back to the beginning of this conversation where you were saying about melee in bolt action feeling kind of anemic, like it's really hard to do. And I didn't like that. It felt like they made it harder to do in bolt action 3rd edition. Yeah. Because the Japanese were like kind of spammy with their little bamboo. Yeah.
Turns out Banzai charges weren't a massive waste of time at all. No. Really good. Yeah.
Really good, right? So they kind of compensated for that in the core gameplay rules to like nerf that down. But with Konflikt 47, it's brought that all back, and in such a bigger way, and it adds that extra dimension to the game where it's no longer just like, can I do pins or get kills at long range? And because cover is so powerful in the game, right? Like getting a cover save versus no cover save is just insane. Like it's night and day. And so they've just added in this third little pillar of the gameplay, which is melee stuff now matters again.
Yep.
And you cannot just, reaction fire against everything that charges at you. Well, you can, but it's still going to get you. Yeah. It's still going to get you,
You can react fire against a Shrek Wolf and it ain't going to save you. The Shrek Wolf isn't going to get you.
It's another avenue for factions to feel very distinctive. And like I mean, I've been saying earlier that I want more models now, right? Like I want more units and things like that. And I want some of the older models to get replaced. I'd like to see some like updates and things like that. Because like, for example, like the Cossack Walker is it's a bit goofy, like with his big leg. Yeah, it's big legs. Like, yeah, it's a bit goofy. And I wouldn't buy, if I collect the Soviets, I would not buy that model. I'd buy this new Soviet Walker though. Yeah. And I'll say this much: they could have very easily just discontinued a lot of stuff. They could have just said, look, we're taking them out. What
company would do that? Yeah. Who would do that?
Right. Yeah, right. They could have just said, look, here's the thing. And it would have been actually a lot more reasonable than other companies that have done that in the recent past, right? Because those models, a lot of them weren't even like owned by they weren't even sculpted by like Warlord Games. They were done by like Goblin King, I believe, like owned the kind of Konflikt IP. Warlord bought it off them and inherited a ton of miniatures. So I would have actually, out of all the companies to discontinue models, I would have understood it from Warlord, because they want to put their own spin on it. They want to take it and like do this edition. And that's what this edition feels like. It feels like Warlord finally getting to really just put their own spin on it. But they didn't. They were like, you know what? We're going to continue to let you play with those models. We're going to include all the rules for them. And there were some casualties, like the Italian faction not being a faction. And instead now it's kind of like all the models are like split up and spread out across all these different armies. Some people are annoyed about that. I get it. But personally, I didn't like the Italians anyway, so whatever.
Again, right?
Yeah.
Again, right?
So anyway, look, I talk like this with my hands. I love the Italians. So but making too many racist Italian jokes, really. People are gonna think it's real. But yeah, so because the Italians for me actually were the thing I didn't like about the Italians in the previous edition was that they could be allies or axes, and I didn't like that. Like I didn't like that they kind of were messing up the sort of. That they were like a faction in half, if you know what I mean. And they were kind of getting like versions of like they could have German troops in their armies and stuff like that. I just felt it was all a bit convoluted. I prefer all the factions to feel very distinct from one another and just like their own thing. And so I'm happy that they're supporting a lot of the legacy models. But I like to see some new iterations of them. And it's almost a little bit unfortunate because it feels like Warlord would have liked, for example, the Firefly units to have been kind of exclusive to the USA, to have been like a USA thing, but they have all these German and Italian jump troopers from the previous edition, and they're like, you know what, screw it, we'll just let them exist. Like we'll continue to provide rules for free, by the way, like the army lists. This game vindicates me, I think, because they're doing a lot of stuff that I've been arguing about for years. That I think like the army lists, supporting older models, even if you don't want to, because you're like it doesn't fit in the current aesthetic. Like that's fine. Like let people have their armies that they've been collecting for years. You know what I mean? Let people play with their fucking toys, dude. Like they bought them. And so and Warlord game are getting a lot of stuff right, and it's awesome to see. Like I'm really happy about it. I'm really happy that the community are responding to that.
I'm in a very similar boat to you. First thing, I actually quite like the Italians being split, but I would love it if the first new faction they brought out, and they've said new factions will come, but it's way down the line. They want to get the first 5 right and get those, which is very respectable. Very clear communication. And it's amazing when you just communicate clearly and don't lie. Right, I'll stop talking about GW. This communication. But so I think they will come as a standalone faction. But if you're someone who wants to get into Konflikt 47 Italians, I wouldn't wait around. You'd be waiting a while. So just get stuck in. And I quite like that they're split. But I feel like when they advance the timeline, maybe they'll come up with a narrative justification for why a standalone faction like Italy reemerges, which is cool. Like, that's fine. Re the old models, it's really interesting. I used to hate the old models for K47. They used to put me off. Like I used to think the Schwertruppen, the Mark 1 German power guys, look so bad. And now I actually have 20 of them. And I love them. I think a lot of them look better in real life than they do on.
They do. A lot of them do. Yeah, they do.
But I think going to sort of the most important point, which was Warlord just getting a lot of things right. I cannot agree with that enough. Like it almost seems like the design philosophy has been, what is Games Workshop doing? Let's just do the exact opposite of that and see what happens. And so far it's been pretty fucking good.
yeah It has been.
Oh look, because they've actually the new models that are coming out and remastering ones, like, so the Wotan / Zeus, the big German walker with the rail cannon. So at the moment it's ridiculously expensive. I mean, it's very good. It's like buying a Baneblade, but it's expensive, and it's made out of resin, and it's a lot of but the thing is, like, the head of the design team, Pete, is like, I want that in plastic. So that will be coming in plastic. And
it has to be.
It has to be. And he was like, and I'm not going to hold him. I want to make something clear. This is not an official price that's going to be announced by Warlord. Maybe it will be, but he was like, he just did an off-the-cuff comment he said when we were chatting. And he was like, look, if I made that in plastic, that would bring the price down by half. Because it's no longer being made in this like artisanal way. It's been made, like, we can just mass produce this. And I was like, that's like crazy that that's the way they're thinking. Like, we're not going to make it in plastic and then keep it the same price. We're going to make it in plastic and bring the price down because we know people really want this. So it shows a great awareness of their game and of the community. We know people want it. We know what the barrier is. How do we solve that barrier so that we can sell the model? It's like, wow, that's actually sounds so simple when you say it out loud. But it's amazing how it's taken basically Warlord to show how to do it. It's mental.
Yeah, 100%. But it reminds me of arguments that Games Workshop used to make. like 15 years ago, I think, when they moved everything from metal to resin to fine cast, and they were like, this will bring the price down. You're like,
yeah,
it never did. It didn't.
They said
it was worse.
White Dwarf, they said in White Dwarf it would bring the price down. Now, quick final side note before we think about wrapping up. I watched a video, I think it was with Peachy, Painting Peachy, and he said the reason why Finecast was so bad is they used the old metal spinners, and I'm just like, what?
They just poured it in.
What are you doing? Obviously, that's so. Have you seen 28 Days Later, where it's like, this is a really shit idea? Do you know why it's a shit idea? Because it's so obviously a shit idea.
Yeah.
And I think that really just sums up like the whole Finecast situation.
I do not know what they were. They were thinking, let's save a lot of money by just reusing the same molds, right? Like the amount of money they must have saved doing that. Yeah. Which I guess, so that is the one thing. So I did say I had a couple of niggles, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't
go
get
on
them.
Then. You've been very good. Go nuts.
Yeah. Like, can I go? Yeah.
Go nuts.
I was disappointed to see the amount of models that are coming out in kind of like the Warlord resin.
Yep.
I think it's a fine material to work with, and I think it's a good, like, it holds detail very well and things like that. But the price, it does push prices up a bit more than I would like, right? Because I was really happy when I first saw, like, the starter set was like, the Germans were like, the hard plastic, like Style Troop, and the hard plastic new mech. There was a hard plastic linebacker, hard plastic. And I assumed that we'd be seeing similar for like the starter sets for each of the other factions, that we'd see a lot more hard plastic stuff. But like almost everything is coming out, like, unless it already wasn't existing, like the Stuart or whatever, it has like a resin turret, but it's hard plastic for the body because it's the same bolt action kit. Most of it is all resin, which unfortunately it's done a couple of things where I feel like the price point for some of the army sets are still a bit high. Now, if you're comparing them to Warhammer, I think they're really good value. You get vehicles in them, you get actual tanks, and you get like what feels like an army, like you come out, you're like, okay, I've got a lot of points in this army set. I can play a game. I can actually play a game with this of Konflikt, not just like its own little mini game. I can actually play a game of this. Because as a whole, like Konflikt 47 it's quite small army sizes actually in terms of model count. But the army sets, they do feel a little bit, sometimes they feel a little bit like, well, I'd like 5 more infantry or something here, especially when you compare it to the older Konflikt 47 army sets, which used to come with a lot more bolt action stuff, but it meant that it felt like, okay, I got like 30 infantry models and then a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Whereas these just feel like, okay, I've got like rift unit, and 2 tanks. Yeah. And it's like 110 pound. You can get cheaper on discount, but that's kind of unfortunate. And I do think a lot of that is to do with so much resin in these box sets. So I'm hopeful that as time goes on, we start to see more hard plastic, and that that the prices maybe do come down a little. That would be swell. Plus, it's better for customization because the Warlord kits are great. When they're hard plastic kits, they get so much customization in those sets. They're awesome to work with. But the resin models, I'll probably buy like the Japanese starter set. And then I'll just kind of wait a little bit because it's repeated poses. And the other thing, the other bugbear I do have another bugbear. Named characters in the starter sets, and like there's special models. There's special models locked in these boxes. Release them separately. They release them separately, right? This frustrates me because they do this with the book and stuff as well with bolt action, where they'll release the bolt action book and then they'll have like an exclusive model. Just release it. Just let me buy it. Like, let me buy it. Yeah. Like, I'll buy it, especially when there are things like commander models. And you can kit bash those. But it would be nice to be able to get like the kind of like the actual like resin sculpted commander separately. Just so if someone can't afford to buy a lot of stuff, but maybe wants to add like a stall trooping commander to a bolt action force, it gives so much more flexibility to players. I think that would be really good. That'd be a really nice thing of Warlord to do, and I think they should do it. I think it'd be very consumer friendly.
Okay, so I have some way. So your bugbears, I can potentially assuage some of them.
Okay, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So the first one was about like the resin stuff, right? So all I'll say is it's in Warlord resin for now.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's going to metal, obviously, next.
No, they want that the mantra is plastics. So basically, the reason why they've produced so firstly, a lot of stuff that's in, and I was surprised by this. That's like in Warlord Resin now. They might like we're talking like Mark 1, Mark 1 like automated infantry and stuff. They're going to do it in like Warlord Resin, and then at some point down the line, it'll come out in plastic.
Okay.
Like, so, and I was like, what, like the same kit? And they were like, yeah. Which is like kind of crazy.
Yeah, but that is weird. That's weird. Yeah.
So the reason that they're doing it that way is simply because of their basically production capabilities. Like they can, so they've gone from, basically in preparation for Konflikt, they've gone from having 2 of their Sirecast machines to 4. So they doubled them. Oof. And they can just, and if you ever see those Sirecast things in action, they're
fast.
They're fast. Yeah. And so basically, they had a limited amount of production for like plastic, and they really had to basically make some hard decisions about what's going to be, because it's easy to look at Warlord and think that there's really massive company, but they're actually relatively like 100 employees. Like
they feel like the next company after Games Workshop. But the size difference is immense.
And I think that is a great display of how well they punch up. But the point is that they are basically 100 people across the world. And so they had to make some hard decisions on what was going to be in plastic. I mean, they said they ideally would have wanted everything that you saw on the starter sets, Japanese, Soviet, everything. All of that would have been in plastic from day one. But the realities of the situation is that. So that's the first thing. Basically, it probably will be coming in plastic in the future. And the idea is, look, we're getting the models out now. We can produce them in house. It's a little bit. It's more expensive than plastic injection molding, but we can actually sell this and try to sell you an old Japanese assault frame guide. We can sell you a new assault one, and it's still a massive step up from the metal models. And then the other thing is that in terms of like the price point, again, plastic will bring it down. But one of the things that this is an example of like them Warlord learning lessons is the reason why a lot of the Konflikt stuff is more expensive, like Style Trooper are £37 for like 9, or a better example would be Fireflies are £37 for 18 rather than 30. If you look at like a normal bot action powers. Yeah. And the reason for that is, and what they've said is the R&D costs are so much higher. They didn't expect that, because when it's World War II, you could just go to your lead sculptor and be like, hey, we want you to make a new sculpt for the for the first iteration of like the US Airborne. And he goes, no problem, boss. Check it in a couple of weeks. And he'll just off he goes. He knows what the hell he's doing.
Google.
Yeah, Google. And then it's like, what does a Siberian terror troop look like? And then there's like 2 weeks of meetings where they're like, do we have like the faces covered up? Would the eyes glow through? Do we go? Apparently, it was like a month-long back and forth discussion.
Yeah.
Do we give the Siberian terror troops the AK-47s, or do we give them what was the AK's competitor that got rejected? And they were back and forth. So those assault rifles they have are actually real life ones, the bullpup ones. But they're the one that got rejected in our timeline. And there's like a whole thing of, well, if we have them having the rejected ones, it was actually the successful ones in K-47. That shows like a divergence point and back and forth, back and forth. So
that's cool. It's very thoughtful.
It's very thoughtful, but obviously if you're paying that many people to be like in meetings and all, and everything. So basically that explains a lot of the cost. Now, whether you think that's worth it or not, that's a whole other like discussion, but at least you may accept or reject that explanation, but at least there is an explanation for why. But yeah, I think, and then so that I can't remember what the last bit. I can't remember the last bit was.
FOMO, like the characters in the box.
I agree. They just release them. Yeah, release them. Yeah. People, no, it's not going to stop people from buying them.
Yeah, especially because there are some models. I think like the Nachtelben. Like the newer sculpts of those are locked into the Axes starter set. Yeah. And I have to assume that is just a production thing, because it doesn't make any sense at all for them to not be available.
Everything will eventually get a standalone release.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. But do we think that, are you satisfied? Yeah. 2 hours? I said it'd be an hour. It's been 2 hours.
Yeah, you've been my longest. All right. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, on a serious note, it has been an absolute pleasure just like chatting away. It's been great just to be able to riff with someone else who's so into Konflikt. And so I just want to say thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot for having me. It was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it.
Nice. Well, let us know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What do you think of K47? What would you like to see? Positive, negatives, all that kind of stuff. And of course, don't forget to obviously like and subscribe, not only to my channel, but of course, go over to Discourse. We'll make sure there's a link down in the description, all that kind of good stuff. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that. But Discourse, once again, thank you so much for coming on. And to all of you guys, thank you for watching. And we'll see you guys next time.
Awesome.
Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last, but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Redfield, 32, Jurgens, Miasma, Try Again, Bragg, RJ, Scorpion, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Nicholas Walsh, John Stubbs, Guardian, Varney, Sword, Fish Trombone, Pickalock the Forged. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.